Look, I know it's a little too early to be drinking at this hour, but given the recent Skyward Sword HD announcement, I think it's appropriate. Video games are an expensive hobby to partake in, and they are expensive to make, but the generally agreed upon price for brand new video games built from the ground up is $60 to now even $70. The latter isn't my idea personally, but the rich keep getting richer, and there's not a whole lot we can do about it other than vote with our wallets. But what about a remastered game? A game made a long time ago, but was touched up and just re-released for a quick dollar. Are they honestly worth the same $60 price tag as a game built from the ground up, despite barely any effort going into it? Nintendo's business practices have been a roller coaster of great decisions and poor decisions. For a while now, the idea of porting a beloved game of theirs to their new console was a rarity, especially if it was a first-party title. I mean, the Wii did have the new Play Control titles from the GameCube ported over to the Wii, with Donkey Kong Jungle Beat even having more features than the original, and the Prime Trilogy and Pikmin Duology were even better with motion controls and are said to be the only way to play these games. But the 7th generation of gaming highlighted a business practice that made them not fare that well against the competition from an ethical standpoint. You see, ports of 6th gen video games were becoming more popular as games started to take longer to make. The very idea of re-releasing collections of older games with touched up graphics and sound, but at an affordable $40 price tag seemed pretty reasonable. I mean, sure, there are a few earlier examples, especially 5th gen releases of arcade compilations, but you never really saw 5th gen games re-released on 6th gen consoles except for Resident Evil 2 and 3, only because the remake and Zero were really popular. And of course the Game Boy Advance handheld device had several SNES games ported to it, but they don't exactly fit the criteria of a video game remaster since they were rebuilt from the ground up and changed the graphics a bit to suit the GBA's limitations like the screen size. But this trend of porting last-gen video games continued into the 8th generation and has no signs of slowing down anytime soon. Quite the opposite, really. And the reason why these remasters and collections were cheaper was because production costs of remastering a game as opposed to building one from the ground up was a lot less expensive. However, in the case of Crash N. Trilogy, they had to rebuild the game from scratch, but still sold for $40 upon launch. You see, Nintendo, that was not only good for the consumers, but also good for business, because the Crash N. Trilogy sold so well, it surprised Activision and prompted them to make not only the remake of Crash Team Racing, but also the remake of the Spyro Trilogy. So, what exactly compels you to sell your remasters at a full $60 with not much added to it?
That's just Capitalism 101, SQG. It's all about supply and demand. If you sell an in-demand product for more money than it's worth and rely on brand loyalty from the customers, you make more money.
You disgust me. A lot of people have criticized Nintendo for this ever since the first remaster of Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker was on Switch. There's even a few earlier examples when Twilight Princess HD was released on the Wii U, but the Nintendo Switch especially highlighted the HD remasterings being full price and the problems with it. Like, it's a Wii U game with not a whole lot added to it. Sure, remapping and recalibrating the controls to suit the Switch's new controller might take a bit of effort, but they did not redo any textures or music, and they only added a whopping 4 levels to it, all in a nice $60 package. That's just pathetic. I mean, it's fine to port a game, but with so little effort into the package, it shouldn't be more than $40. They want to make up for lost potential sales from having their game on the failing Wii U console, I understand, but affordable last-gen games will sell with the right marketing behind it. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze was a similar case with a full price tag, because other than better loading times, all that they really added that was new was the new Funky mode. And Funky Kong was just a broken playable character. Yeah, you thought the Donkey Kong Dixie combo was broken? Well, Funky Kong makes these levels outright boring by removing all the challenge from them, from having unlimited breath underwater to more hearts, to even being immune to spikes with a surfboard. I mean, I guess it's fine for new players not experienced with the platformer genre, allowing them to get more familiar with the level design before they take it on in the original mode. And it does take effort on the developer's part to program him and his collision, but not full price worth of effort. Give me a break! Especially considering how Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D, despite it being a handheld port, meaning that it has a significantly lower frame rate and resolution. It has given more features and a brand new world with several brand new levels to play in. How much was that upon launch? Let me check. Oh yeah, $40. How much is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze's Switch port that has one new character, no new levels, and no new features to speak of? $60, as if it's a brand new game. But do you want to know the scummy underbelly of this release? They got rid of the digital version on the Wii U as soon as Tropical Freeze's Switch port was revealed to the world, just to maximize their already overloaded profits. And mind you, this game isn't even 5 years old, so you can't use the excuse that they just want to maintain the Wii U online servers. Because not only is that a f*** you to the Switch owners, it's a massive f*** you to the Wii U owners, telling them,
Do you want Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, one of the greatest 2D platformers of all time? Well, too bad. Buy our new Switch console, and you can have a digital copy. There, of course. Either get our copy on the Switch, or be at the mercy of used game salesmen. The horror of just thinking about the quality of the product.
Hey, not a bad idea. I'll do that right now.
Wait, you can't do that. That's not supposed to be an option.
I hate to be the one to break it to you, but there's always that option.
But what am I supposed to do? Sell a game at a reasonable price to compete with the used game market?
Why, yes. Yes, you are. That's what you're supposed to do. It's only ethical and good for business.
If only it was illegal to sell a used video game. Unless...
Oh, no you don't. Remember New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe that had not just the titular New Super Mario Bros. U, but also the awesome Luigi U expansion? That was full price as well, but barely any effort went into it, except the addition of Toadette as a playable character, but that's just about it. And from what I hear, they actually took away the touchscreen platforms from the Wii U edition, which means they actually removed some features for the Switch port. I mean, it won't be missed, but you cannot tell me that one game and an expansion that's only half the main game's length is worth $60. This seems to be a recurring problem with HD remasters on Nintendo consoles. What justification could there possibly be for them being full price, other than the vague defense of inflation affecting profits, so they naturally have to increase the price just to cover the cost of development, even though given the industry and how big it is and how it's a billion-dollar industry, statistics prove that's clearly false and that wouldn't really be a problem for the publisher. Unless there's some really good new content added to these remasters to warrant the additional $20, I simply don't see why an older game of yesteryear should be full price. The only exceptions I was fine with for the Switch were Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, and surprisingly Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Please hear me out on the latter one. Super Mario 3D World, what can I say that hasn't been said before? Having given this game a second chance on the Switch, and without the collective burnout of the new Super Mario Bros. Formula at the back of our minds when playing it, I can finally appreciate how well designed of a 3D platformer it really is. And Nintendo seemed to notice this as well, hence why they brought a full 3D new game in the form of a small open sandbox world of Bowser's Fury, where your goal is not to get to a flagpole, but rather collect 100 shines to stop Bowser Bowser from terrorizing the island in his kaiju form. And even though the game is really short, it was honestly the only collection that not only gave me a full price experience, but rather a full price experience and then some. Like, I had so much fun with Bowser's Fury and plan to replay it over and over and hope they, I don't know, make another game like this except even bigger with the Mario Odyssey control scheme. I don't know, wishful thinking. As for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, well, it gave me just the full price worth of fun, because the original Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U only let you hold one item, which was series standard at the time, and the battle mode was outright pathetic. Like, no arena design courses, but instead existing racetracks? Like, Nintendo, how lazy could you get with the battle mode? Mario Kart 8 Deluxe fixes that by making the battle mode courses some of the greatest multiplayer fun in existence. Like, yeah, the cynic in me is all like, it should have been there in the first place. But on the other hand, the hours I spent on this mode alone with friends online are in the double digits, so I think I got my money's worth, and so did other players, as even those who bought the Wii U original and completed it and originally had no desire to get the Switch port, they bought the deluxe version anyways, just for the new battle mode. And replaying their favorite courses except now being able to hold two items, it practically reinvents the gameplay of the original. The original Mario Kart 8 was worth full price for some of the greatest racetracks of all time, with the crappy battle mode as its only drawback, but only back when it was brand new on the Wii U. So naturally the Switch remaster would have to offer something new and original. I seriously doubt there will ever be a Mario Kart game this good ever again, and the fact that the Switch doesn't even have its own Mario Kart and instead pretty much said, screw it, let's just remaster the best entry in the series and make it even better. So those are about the only two exceptions I can honestly think of where the remasters are worth full price. And honestly, the Mario Kart one's a little bit of a stretch on my part, but this feels like the logical next step as to how Nintendo can handle their subsequent remasters, but then they turn my enthusiastic smile upside down with the announcement of the Amiibo support for Skyward Sword HD. Before talking about that, I am aware of the Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD remasters being full price upon launch in addition to Amiibo exclusive gameplay features. Oh yeah, remember the Amiibo? Nintendo's Finite DLC? These figurines that cost $13 each?
Abridges Farm remembers.
Twilight Princess HD only had some Amiibo support that would replenish hearts and arrows on the fly, which was something not needed for the game to improve upon it already. But in the case of the Wolf Link Amiibo, you unlock the Cave of Shadows, which is a set of brand new challenges for Wolf Link. Mind you, this is something you cannot unlock in-game without the Amiibo, and you cannot download the Cave of Shadows online for an additional fee. So in addition to the full price tag, it has some brand new content hidden behind the cost of an Amiibo that's getting more and more scarce as the years go by. That is just anti-consumer no matter how you try to spin it. This would be less of a burn on the customer if it was $40 and you were able to download the Cave of Shadows, with Amiibo being an optional way to get it. I mean, the way they handle Amiibo functionality is kind of sketchy in itself, but this is outright bleeding the fans dry for every hard-earned dollar they're worth. So to hear Skyward Sword HD for the Switch doing this as well, especially after Nintendo got it right with 3D World plus Bowser Fury's release, this is a regression to old penny-pinching habits. Because yes, remapping the motion controls to suit the Joy-Cons on the Switch does take some programming effort, there's no denying that. But the biggest burn to the consumers is that they make a quality of life improvement involving instantaneous warping to the sky while venturing on the surface, and vice versa. That is just a giant middle finger to not just detractors of Skyward Sword who wanted to give the game a second chance, but also the fans who love this game, and it's just so frustrating how it's locked behind a Loftwing Amiibo. And it's not even like that they couldn't fit that into the game, they just chose not to deliberately.
Oh, you're so dramatic. You act like the video game is not even playable without the completely optional Loftwing Amiibo warping feature.
That is not the point. The point is, in addition to the $60 I have to pay for the remaster alone, if I want the other things that will actually make the game even better, if I want the optimal Skyward Sword experience, I have to pay even more money than the $60 I paid for the game itself. How is that not BS? Do you know how much that Loftwing Amiibo costs? And that Amiibo is to unlock a feature that should have been in the game in the first place. Like, save Amiibo functionality for something inconsequential like alternate costumes. For those who are fine with this, all I have to say is that you're all sentient beings capable of making your own choices. If you don't care about the outrageously high price for a remaster, I hope you enjoy what is there. I am not criticizing any of you or look down upon you guys for buying said game. In fact, our goals are a lot more similar than they are different. I want people to be able to have the most fun with it possible. I really wanted to be excited for Skyward Sword HD, but Nintendo always has a way to smokescreen their however statement as soon as a heavily requested remaster is finally announced. Like, wouldn't it be more ideal to have it at a lower price? It's really not worth $60 from a technical perspective, and we all know that Zelda games are going to sell no matter what, and that's why I'm so critical of it. I want to live in a world where Nintendo follows Square Enix's example and release improved remasters of games with additional content in a package that's worth full price and then some, but isn't because Square Enix is actually ethical to the consumers. Like the most recent Kingdom Hearts collection, 10 games including the more recent Kingdom Hearts 3, less than full price. Not just one game for $60 plus figurine lock DLC. And guess what? That collection is selling extremely well too. So what excuse does Nintendo have? Just because they make some of my favorite games of all time doesn't mean they get a free pass. They should be held to the same standards as everyone else in the industry. So even if you're going to buy a video game remaster at full price, I'm not going to judge you for it. I have other things to worry about. I only make mild suggestions just so you make an educated decision on your purchases, but you don't have to listen to me if it's really that important to you. But for those toxic Nintendo fanboys that will outright defend this, saying that we're just entitled for demanding better of Nintendo, first off, you, and second, don't think Nintendo is worth defending like your family's honor depends on it. Because I hate to break it to you particular folks, but corporations are not your friends and they never will be. And as for the rest of us reasonable folks, I hope we continue to hold these corporations accountable for when they're just going a bit too far off the deep end. Because otherwise, the corporate beasts are just gonna bleed us dry for all we're worth. So, until next time, thank you all so much for watching. And remember, corporations aren't your friends. Cheers! That's good root beer.
Hello, side-questing gentlemen. 'Tis I, the fetch-questing gentleman. You got me fired for $20 dollars. And I am definitely the kind of person that would hold a grudge for $20 dollars. So mark my words, I, the fetch-questing gentleman. Well, you know, I'm coming for you. One of these days, whenever I figure out how the hell to get to you.
Dear Mr. President, this is a message from the Professor, and I am very pleased to announce that it seems that SQG has been very busy in his own little dimension. It seems he's made a couple of new enemies from all over the multiverse. We might be able to recruit this fetch-questing gentleman to our cause without him knowing it. And I do know a certain friend with a top hat that'd be more than willing to compensate our efforts. So if you authorize the release of our secret military units, I will begin the invasion of his home dimension as soon as possible.